TymeBank believes in a banking future with more for every entrepreneur. Start paying less and getting more. With TymeBank, you've got this.
Small businesses have proven to be the engine of the South African economy, but with the fourth industrial revolution right at our doorstep, those that use technology grow faster, profit more, and hire more workers compared to those that don't. Welcome to Small Business Evolution. I'm your host, Nontobeko Gumede, and I'm joined by Cheslyn Jacobs, Chief Commercial Officer from TymeBank, who will be sharing more about how the digital bank aims to empower Mzansi's small business owner. Cheslyn, in South Africa, 2022, specifically looking at statistics, 66% of growth within the e-commerce. So there's a shift in how we engage with consumers, there's a shift in how we operate, and there's a shift in the structure of business models for SMEs. Why should SMEs consider e-commerce?
Yeah, Nontobeko, you mentioned the shift is happening. I think we could still argue it's probably happening a bit slower than what we see it happen across the world. About 10% of all retail spend in South Africa is spent on e-commerce, whereas in some other countries it's 50-50, in some cases 80% e-commerce. Why we believe it's important is, as you rightfully said, SMEs play a massively important role in the country's economy. When they do really well, they create lots of jobs. I think it's well documented. We've spoken about this over and over, the role they play. But the benefit of e-commerce is it literally takes borders away from your business, right? And with any business, all a business would often want the most is access to customers. So you either sell a product, you sell a service. And what e-commerce does is removes all those borders. Suddenly you can now sell your product or service to anybody, anywhere for that matter. So e-commerce is going to become an increasingly important role in the lives of SMEs. And us at TymeBank believe it's something they've got to embrace and adopt sooner rather than later.
You mentioned a slow transition to digital transformation in South Africa compared to your more developed countries. What is the reasoning behind that? The reasoning behind that resistance? Is it infrastructure?
So I think it's a series of things. I think maybe just as South Africans, we're often a little bit slower to adopt change. We like to stick to what we know. And again, but I think with SMEs, most probably one of the characteristics about them is their bravery, their courage. So if anybody's going to accelerate that growth, I believe it would be SMEs. So again, we encourage them to do that. On the infrastructure side, there may be some call it hurdles for SMEs to jump there. I think again, well documented data, for example, extremely expensive in South Africa, again in comparison to other countries around the world. So again, making those barriers or reducing those barriers to entry, making it a lot easier for SMEs, call it to go online, to digitize their businesses. I think definitely other businesses in industry has an important role to play in supporting SMEs as well. So those are definitely two of the reasons. The other thing that I think will start accelerating it as well is the more consumers start to use e-commerce, right? Is that I think what SMEs are really good at is meeting the needs of their customers.
Yes.
And as consumers start adopting more e-commerce platforms, I think SMEs they'll almost be forced to adopt it a lot faster. I think COVID's been great, if there's such a statement, whether you can say COVID's been great, but I think it's been great for digital business. It's almost forced people to engage, it's forced people to educate themselves. It's forced people to close that knowledge gap, and I think that's accelerated adoption. But I think there's still massive opportunity ahead for both SMEs and consumers.
I feel like there's so much to unpack and we have such little time. But Cheslyn, TymeBank is one of South Africa's fastest growing digital banks. And in your years of service, because you did join the company in 2012 as the manager in sales and distribution, and even before that, you've been in many financial institutions. How has the company aligned itself with the aspirations of digital transformation, especially within the small business sector?
Yeah, so a big thing for us at TymeBank is always access. So it's about how we give our customers as much access as possible. Not only give them access, but provide it extremely easily. So something we're proud of, we believe we've dropped all the barriers to entry for consumers into banking, and we're now well on our way to doing exactly the same for SMEs. So an SME can open a transactional account with TymeBank in under 5 minutes digitally without leaving their business, without any documentation, you know, and I think in the lives of an SME, there's nothing more expensive or precious than time. You know, so that these business owners don't want to spend time away from their business. They don't want to stand in long queues, wait for opaque information. So we think we've made that process extremely seamless for SMEs. You know, if you follow us very closely, you'd have seen recently we acquired a business called Retail Capital.
Yes.
And their focus is purely on SME lending. And if one just takes a deeper look into that business, is the way they've enabled small businesses to grow is absolutely phenomenal. But even they will tell you that they're still scratching the surface. So again, we're extremely excited about what that set of products will enable small businesses to continue doing in the future.
We're about to wrap up, but I just needed you to touch on the TymeBank e-commerce service that is specifically tailor-made for small businesses. And I just want to know, how is that aimed or structured to benefit not only SMEs but historically underserved small businesses?
Yeah, so we're working on a range of solutions. You know, one is an all-encompassing kind of, call it ERP solution for small businesses. So what the solution will do once we're ready to kind of scale it, will enable small businesses to digitize this business. So if they've not embarked on the e-commerce journey yet, this solution will help them do that. But not only help them digitize their business, also plug some of the other gaps in the value chain, things like payment, you know, so the ability to accept payment is using digital means, but also more important, the ability to fulfill these transactions. So we'll partner with a logistics organization that will help these businesses get their product or service to end user as well. So something we're extremely excited about. We're polishing it in the background. We want it to be extremely sleek once businesses start using it. So again, something we're extremely excited about. The other one is that we're looking at using what we call a digital community that allows small business owners to share their experiences with each other, share their learnings, you know, express their challenges. And again, because we think in community, we can prosper so much faster. And
prosper we shall.
Absolutely.
That was the Chief Commercial Officer at TymeBank, Cheslyn Jacobs. Until next time, goodbye.
TymeBank believes in a banking future with more for every entrepreneur. Start paying less and getting more. With TymeBank, you've got this.